you'll be empowered, engaged intellectually. Just be inspired. Embrace some positivity. Chilling for you. Approaching it deductively. Money and power and more mind with Coach T. Food for your mind, food for your body and soul. Money and power and more mind with Coach T.
Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year, Intellectual Radio listeners. I am your host, Toria Renee, and you are tuned into Empowering Moments with Coach T, with yours truly, Coach T. And I try to make sure that I give you valuable information every second Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on IntellectualRadio.com. That is a new time slot for me. I have moved from Sundays to Saturdays. Every second Saturday at 11 a.m. Join me right here for Empowering Moments with Coach T on IntellectualRadio.com. I am super excited for you guys today. I have an awesome, wonderful show for you guys today. For those of you who don't know who I am an empowerment coach, and I help you gain the clarity and the insight that you need to become a better you and walk out your journey to a better you. So today we are actually going to be talking about taking risk. Okay. And so taking those risks, doing those things that we think are scary, but doing them anyway, finding the courage to do those things anyway in 2022. And I have an awesome guest for you guys. Let me tell y'all, this man we've been friends for a very, very, very long time, but so, he is so I call him a Renaissance man, jack of all trades. He does some of everything, and it's all in a good way, right? Because it just shows how he is able to take these risks at every turn. So he's done scuba diving. He's done scuba diving. He has done, I believe it is autocross. He's actually into competitive shooting. Just recently, he became a USCCA Conceal and Carry Instructor. So all of these things are usually things that people don't tend to just jump out there and do, but he has done them, and I am so excited. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, JC, a.k.a. Bass.
Wow. That is a lot. I don't know who that guy is that you spoke about though. Yeah. So you forgot a bunch of stuff.
I forgot a bunch of stuff.
That's okay.
We're gonna talk through all of this stuff, guys, because let me tell you, I find myself inspired to do some of the things that I do because he is so willing to get out there and do some of anything. So let's talk a little bit. I feel like, okay, that's much better. Let's talk a little bit about what it is that you do. So there are so many things that that you have your hands in, and it's simply from having a curiosity and drive and determination to learn and do well at what that is. So can you share what does that, and where does the ambition come from? Where does that come from?
The ambition. It just comes from me wanting to do like whatever feels right for me. I don't really get off into the things that everybody else is doing. You know, I'm sure you've heard that quote before. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
I don't want to be easy. I want to do different things that other people just aren't willing to do.
Okay.
So,
See, if that's the drive that I'm talking about, because most people are not trying to do the thing that most people are not trying to take the road that is less traveled. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do.
So, what do you think is the basis for how you've come to have the opportunity to do all these different things that you've done?
Basis for opportunity. I probably would have to say, at an early age, I was interested in different things, and I was blessed to have a lot of positive people in my life. Uh, my uncle was a really big portion of why I got to do a lot of things because I grew up on the west side. We didn't have a lot of stuff that you could do. We played basketball on the crate in the alley and stuff like that because that's what we had. We didn't have basketball rims, and I wasn't really interested in those kind of things in the first place. But my uncle was a really big part of getting me into other stuff because like he had this desire for me to just be somebody and do different things. So it was like for him, I could try whatever. It didn't matter. He would pay for whatever it was that I wanted to do, whether it be karate, taekwondo. I was into BMX racing, all different types of things. He just had one rule, and that was that I had to do it for at least 6 months. Like he didn't want to throw a bunch of money at something that I wanted to do, and then I turn around and quit the next day because it was too hard. So I had to commit
Absolutely.
to everything for at least 6 months.
So, and I like the idea that he required you to dig in and kind of stick with it for at least 6 months, because that way you really get a chance to figure out if you like it or don't like it. Because I think sometimes we, as kids and even as adults, we kind of start things and we stop the moment it
Yeah.
gets hard. You're like, oh no, that's too hard now. I can't, now it's too complicated. I'm one of those people. I'd be like, okay, here we go with the drama, and I'm gonna have to pass. But at the same time, I have to push myself past that moment and say, you know what? It's not about how I feel right now. It's about what I know the long game is. And I think sometimes we don't think in terms of the long game. So when we talk about the long game, how is it that were you able to condition yourself to think about it in that way?
Uh, yeah, I kind of had to because like most of the things that I got into, I had nobody. There was nobody for me to look to really gain like knowledge of it beforehand. So I kind of just had to jump in. So starting from the bottom and working your way up is something that I've done consistently throughout life. Cause like, young kids, they get into basketball because they watch TV, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all of these people, they watch basketball before they've even actually seen a physical basketball.
Yep.
I got into stuff that I just saw out of the window or in magazines and things like that. The BMX racing thing for me came about because I had a cheap bike. My bike broke. I wanted to go to the bike shop to get a bike because my cheap bike broke. We went to the bike shop and I saw a magazine, BMX Freestyle magazine. I was flipping through the magazine. I said, Bill, I want to do this. I think I was like 8, and my uncle he took me to get a new bike, and
Right.
at first he decided that he didn't want to spend that kind of money on a bike originally.
Right.
Then when I got into it, and I actually started racing my little cheap $100 bike and was getting whooped,
Winning.
while I was getting whooped
Are
at
you?
first. It was bad. It was terrible. I would come in, like you'd be sitting there watching, like if it was on TV, you'd be watching and everybody would come in, and then there I come, that type of thing. And I didn't know what the issue was, but I was having fun. My uncle was busy talking to all of the people in the stands and everything. Turns out I had a cheap bike. My bike was really heavy.
Right.
Swapped out the bike. He spent a bunch of money for a new bike for me. Boom, I was off and running. So it's just the experience you have to gain. Cause like I didn't know about Haro, I didn't know about GT, I didn't know about Schwinn and all these other people.
Right.
The Schwinn was like the top of the line for our neighborhood. Schwinn was like the bottom of the line for racing bikes. Like they made complete crap as far as racing bikes go.
So
And
when
I
we
had a Huffy, which was like
oh
a
hell.
$40 bike from Walmart.
Oh
Well,
good.
it would be like a $40 Walmart bike.
So when we talk about these experiences that you've had, how do you think the exposure to so many things at an early age has shaped the way you approach things today in your adult life?
Um, it's a gift and a curse. It really is a gift and a curse because what happens with me, because I had the chance to experience so many different things, I don't have any reservations about trying new things now. So when something pops up in front of me, if I have any interest in it, first I start researching it, then I start spending money. And that's kind of the thing. It's like, well, I built that giant fish tank that ended up in the magazine.
So y'all, let me tell. Okay, for background, so y'all understand who this man is. Okay, this is the person who, once he decides that he wants to be a part of a hobby and whatever that is, he goes 100% clean, smooth in
Yes.
money and all. This is one person that you never have to challenge him to put his money where his mouth is. I promise
that's
you,
true.
because he will do it. You'd be like, wait a minute now, you do realize that's a lot of money. He don't care. If that's what he wants to do, he will do it. And I like the fact that he has that thought process because it allows him to do things with a level of, I don't want to say perfection, but for lack of a better word, perfection. In other words, he does these things well. He does not half do things. And I think that is another lesson that we have to learn when we're talking about taking risks. If you're going to take the risk, don't purpose to be mediocre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
purpose to be the best you can be. Now, being the best you can be does not mean you will be the best at it.
Right.
But
That's
it
true.
does
That's
mean
true.
that you are doing the best that you can, and you're bringing all of you to the table every time you do it. Because when you do that, you get to see what your full potential is.
Yes, definitely. I agree with that.
So let's get right on into all this wonderful, great little stuff that you be doing. So let's talk about competitive shooting. How did that come about for you?
Um, Competitive shooting is something that I would watch every so often on TV. Of course, I got into guns like most young males. I got in as quickly as I possibly could. I was 21 when I purchased my first own firearm, and I kind of played around with it. And because back then I don't want to date myself, but it wasn't really easy to gain information about how to do stuff. There weren't, YouTube videos and all of this stuff constantly around. So in
Right.
order to like dig into something, you just kind of had to go and find somebody who did it. Well, in the earlier years, I'm still a really shy person, but like in the earlier years, it's like I would kind of fumble my way into things and people would have to come to me in order for me to open up to them. I wasn't the type of person to just walk in and be like, okay, let me talk to you. Come here. It wasn't that type of thing for me. So it was really hard to really get into things earlier, plus I had a mouthpiece. My uncle would talk his way
Into
into any
everything, right.
situation. It's like, with karate. I showed up one day, we were driving. I remember we were driving down Lake Street. No, that's how I got into Taekwondo. We were driving down Lake Street in Oak Park, and there was this Tai Chi place, and then right next to it was this Taekwondo place, and then next to there was some they had like used car parts or something. I
Right.
forget what it was. And we went to the used car parts place, and I looked in there and was like, yeah, I have no interest in this. I walked right out the door. And then I'm standing out in the front and I look up and I'm
Taekwondo.
just like
Yeah.
looking in the window. It's like, yeah, I think that might be it for me. That might be the next thing.
So when was your first shooting competition?
Oh yeah, I got sidetracked.
I know.
My first shooting competition was recent, like really, really recent. Like probably 4 weeks ago. To go back to, yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. To go back to what you originally asked me, which was how did the shooting competition thing come into
Yes.
play? Um, well, I feel like, since I entered on this path of being a concealed carry instructor, I'm actually more than just a concealed carry instructor. I actually teach people how to shoot as well. But because of that fact, I wanted to bring more to the table than just the paperwork that people wanted to get into for concealed carry.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to be more of an instructor of other things than just, okay, cool, come sit in. I'm gonna read this stuff off this wall to you, and then I'm gonna hand you this certificate. I wanted to
Right.
be able to bring specific things with handguns and all of that stuff
So it can be
into
a little bit
play.
more hands
Right,
on
right.
and give you that instruction. One of the things that I will tell you guys is that he is actually awesome at instructing, as you know, how to hold a gun, how to really be comfortable with shooting. You're talking to a person. I just want you guys to know that I did take his class and I passed. First out, I mean, I went right to the shooting range. I hadn't held a gun in over 10 years. And I was actually able to go in there and qualify with no problem with him instructing me. Can you hand me some water right here? Because I promise. Um, I was able to get right on in there and actually qualify, which was awesome. So and that was attributed to him because I didn't even remember how to hold a gun. So,
Yeah, yeah. Most people don't. Pretty much everybody gets into shooting firearms the same way I did. They go to the range. Before you had to own your own gun. Now you can rent guns at the range, but they go to the
absolutely.
range, they go in the booth and they shoot and try to figure out how to hit the target.
Absolutely.
It's a lot that goes into it, of course, because you've
Absolutely.
taken a class. It's a lot that goes into it, even though it's simple. It's just a lot of little pieces that go
That
into it.
come together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been shooting?
Uh, Decades. Um, I've been shooting decades. Taking shooting seriously probably over the last 10 years. Um, yeah, over the last 10 years probably would be the way to put it.
Okay.
I started taking classes after, watching the YouTube videos. I realized YouTube wasn't going to be enough for me. Now,
Yeah, I'm
let me
not
let me be
hardly
clear.
doing that.
YouTube is awesome, but when you want to perform at a particular level, you have to get training
Training
in anything you do.
in
You
anything
can't.
that you
There's
do.
nothing that you do on this planet that you should not train for.
And that is key. That's another key tip to taking risk. If you're going to take a risk, it might behoove you to do some research. You need to know what it is that you are embarking on. You need to know why you're doing it. You need to know all of the things that are involved in you doing that so that you're not exhausting energy and time into something that may not be profitable for you. And when I say profitable, I'm not always talking about money because sometimes things are profitable for you because you gain insight, you gain some clarity, you gain some information, you gain some experience. And some of those are the best wins ever.
Hmm.
Then before we start talking about money, because I want to make sure I'm clarifying it because I think a lot of times we tie success to money,
Yes. Yes.
and I don't believe that all success is monetary.
I agree.
And so I
I
want to
can
make sure I
definitely
hit that
agree with
home for
that.
you guys. Success is anytime you are able to do something that you put time and effort to, and you actually are satisfied with the result. Because, see, the result is not always winning. Example,
Yeah.
example, I participated in a whole pageant. You guys know this from last year. I participated in a whole pageant. I did not win at nationals. I won at state. I went to nationals. I didn't win. I placed third. It's not necessarily the worst placement, okay? However, I didn't win because first place is the winner. But I won because I did something that is completely out of my wheelhouse, out of my range, and I was able to be successful at it. That's success to me because I did it and I did place third. That's awesome, right?
Yes.
Um,
Definitely.
the other example, when I first started doing this radio show, anybody and everybody will know that my first show was horrific. Okay, I kind of wish I could go back and erase it. It was just that bad.
Well, I mean, don't look. You never look at things as being horrific because nothing that you start at is going to be perfect the first time.
Absolutely.
It's like if you go through life only wanting to do what you can do perfectly the first time, you're going to be really a sad person because there's nothing that's going to come through the
You're gonna
very
miss
first
out, right? And
time.
you're gonna miss out on the full potential. I mean, I've been doing this show now. I think is it 2 years? It might be 2 years. I think, uh, but that's what I'm getting to. After that first show, if I had given up and said, you know what, this ain't for me. This is done. I remember finishing the show, and the one thing that you said to me, and I was like, oh my God, the show was horrible. Oh my God. I'm after the show, I'm like, it was horrible, horrible, horrible. And you said to me, at least you did it.
I did say that,
You a
and I
step
always say
ahead
that.
because you did it.
Yeah.
It's 25 million other people out here that want to have a show, want to do a show, and will never step out there and do it because they think they're not going to be good at it. Now I'm a couple of years in. I'm a little. I feel like I'm a veteran, although I just learned a few things. I learn something new every time I come into the studio. But for me, I know that I am perfecting my craft and I am getting better. When I look back at some of those older shows and out to the some of the more recent shows, I see my growth. Not only do I see my growth, but other people who actually do watch and listen to my shows on a regular basis have said to me, oh my God, you have perfected your craft. And that to me, that is success.
Well, you are perfecting something that isn't perfectible. It's always going to be time for you to improve
Absolutely.
on anything that you do. There's always a different way to do it. Like even when you perfect something, there's a different way you can do it. Like so just
Absolutely.
go and do it a different way to give yourself more options. You know, it's like I watched this stupid show on TV. I just blew through the whole season, Cobra Kai.
Okay.
Um I don't want to talk about this show because I'll be here for 15
Anyway,
minutes.
please, yes, we're not
But
talking about
the
the
short
show.
version is there's two different styles of karate that these guys are trying to join together in order to make for the best students in the dojo. And one of the guys is all passive and defensive. The other guy is all offense and aggressive. And
They're
they
trying to
come up with a way
fuse
to marry the
these two
two.
together.
Right. And
And so now you create something different.
exactly. And both of them had champions in their stable
Absolutely.
before that. And then they just
So now
wanted
let's
to
do
learn
something new.
a different way to do
Definitely. I
things.
mean, you can't be, I think that we kind of get used to, and I don't want to say tradition because that's not the word I'm looking for, routine.
Routine.
We
Yeah.
look for, we are, I think in that innately, most of us in this world are prone to routines. We like
Yeah.
routines because routines are comfortable. In a routine, nothing can go wrong, we think, in a routine because this
Right.
is what I do every
And
day,
that's why
all
you do
day.
the same
And
thing
that's why
over
you
and
do it
over
the same
again.
way because I've done it this way all the time. I already know I've worked out all the kinks here. There's nothing else that I need to perfect in this moment because this is a routine that works for me. And I'm saying throw the monkey wrench into this routine because without throwing a monkey wrench into your routine, you're not going to be able to live life to your fullest potential. If you never do anything new, you're never going to know that you could, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we talk about the conceal and carry, first of all, let's tell us what this USCCA Conceal and Carry Instructor is, because I don't know that everybody knows.
Okay. So here's the situation. Illinois was one of the last holdouts on well, not one of the last. There's still New York and several other states that don't allow it, but Illinois was one of the biggest holdouts on the possibility of a concealed carry situation. Originally, when the situation was set up and concealed carry was authorized for us to have it here in Illinois, basically what had to happen for instructors, they had to create a curriculum of 16 hours worth of training, submit it to the Illinois State Police Firearms Board, and have them look it over. And then either they would okay it for you to teach it, or they would say, no, you can't teach it. You know,
Okay.
you got to go back to the drawing board, rewrite your curriculum. You need to have this,
Right.
so on and so forth involved. The NRA was the first group that got into handing out curriculum for other people. And I don't mean handing out in the same sense of just here, go do what you want to do. You have to take a training class, so on and so forth.
Right.
And then there was USCCA was the next group that was doing
And
it.
tell us what USCCA stands for.
USCCA stands for United States Conceal Carry Association.
Awesome. Okay.
They were the first way is write your own curriculum and submit it. The second way is to go through the NRA, basically the same process that you go through with USCCA. The third way is USCCA. I kind of decided to take the shortcut in this situation because rather than me write out my own curriculum, it was
Right.
just easier to take theirs and
No
get
reason
my
to reinvent. No reason to
no
reinvent the wheel.
No reason to reinvent the wheel. Exactly. It gave me the possibility to go out here and teach more than just the concealed carry, because that was just the first piece. The real reason why I got into the concealed carry piece was because I was sitting around with my son one day, and him and his friends and a couple of his friends have concealed carry permits, and I see a gun on, this 22, 23-year-old guy's hip, and I'm just like, oh, so you got your concealed carry permit, right? He's like, yeah, I got it. Yeah. I was like, when did you do that? He was like, oh, I did it a few months ago. I found this guy on Groupon. He charged me $60 and sent me my certificate to send off to Illinois State Police. And I was like, now I'm a concealed carry holder, and my class was basically all law. It basically talked about, the fact that for most people that don't realize, you are going to jail the night you shoot somebody.
Whether it was in self-defense or not. Let's
It doesn't
be clear.
matter. It does not matter. You could be standing there minding your own business at a bus stop, well, you can't carry on the bus, but you could be standing there minding your own business, waiting for a cab with your headphones on, and a group of guys come running down the street screaming and shooting at you. When you shoot,
you going to jail.
You going to jail.
Be clear.
The police are not going to say, okay, well, they attacked you.
You're free to go, sir.
You're free to go. No, everybody's going to jail.
Everybody going. Now, that is funny that you say that, because one of the things that I don't think I ever knew that. We always talk about, oh, it was self-defense, and I don't think anybody makes the connection that you still go to jail.
Right.
You think that they're going to walk in, assess the situation, and say, oh, okay, so they were the aggressor and they were the assailant, and you were defending yourself. All right, have a good day. We'll take this guy on down here, and you will get it out your hair.
Yeah, that's
and all
only
you
in
have
Texas.
to do is that's only on TV. Stop. So I'm just saying, I don't think we realize it, because on TV it don't show you that everybody going to jail.
Right. And there's a multitude of reasons for it. Nobody knows what really happened.
That's crazy.
And the police that show up don't want the responsibility of telling the prosecutor later that they let you go.
Absolutely. So they got to take you in. Absolutely.
Right.
This is what I figured out. That's exactly what it is. So let's talk about some of these other things that you've done. So you scuba diving. Okay, tell us why with scuba diving. Why?
Scuba, I got started in high school. I think I was 15 or 16 when I got started in scuba, and I went to a private school,
right,
on the west side for high school and grade school. But my high school had this thing called, I think it was called Outward Bounds or something like that. Basically, over the summer, rather than turn the decent students that didn't need to go to summer school, rather than turn them loose to figure out how to become screw ups, they sent us on different types of trips and things like that. Kayaking was one. There was a trip to the Grand Canyon. That was one of the things that people were doing, and scuba was one. Of course, all of the other excursions were show up and go. That was too easy for me. Scuba was I just talked to my scuba dive master and mentor the other day about this very topic because of the show. The class was 8 sessions twice a week. The location was in Maywood. I lived in the city. I had to get up and be at class at 7 a.m. twice a week in the summertime on public transportation.
So what did you accomplish? Because I know you were the first something. So tell us what that is.
At the time, I didn't know, but he told me after he certified me, because the school wasn't even going to actually certify us. They just wanted us to learn enough,
right,
in order to go on the trip. And he said that he would certify us. It was me, and I think it was like 2 seniors or a sophomore, but it was me. I was the only guy. The rest of them were girls.
Okay.
And at the time, once I certified, I was actually the youngest African-American male scuba diver in the country. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what he said at the time.
All right now. So that's just the show of what happens when you apply yourself and try things that may not necessarily be the norm and may at first scare you. This is a testament of what can happen when you do that. And so one of the things that I noticed is that you chose something that required a lot of time, that
Yes.
required a lot of practice, that required you again learning and really, really understanding. So what makes you want to do the thing that is difficult?
Because everybody's not doing it.
So you just that guy that does not
Um,
want to take the easy way out.
I'm that guy that like I said before, I'm shy. So it's necessary to be interesting when you're shy. If you want to meet people,
Wow.
you have to have people in the room who know you and want to introduce you to people because of being interesting. Because if you don't do anything, you keep your mouth shut.
You kind of fade into the background
You're gonna
and
be this plant in the corner over here.
absolutely, which means you're
Just
not
like, oh, there's a plant
memorable.
there.
Yeah, you're not memorable. You're
You know,
forgettable, as Simon Cowell would say. You're forgettable.
yeah. Um, that and the fact that anything that I just don't get as much fulfillment out of easy things.
I could see easy, if something is easy, you probably would be bored.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if it's gotta, it's
I
gotta,
mean, I try to make things harder for myself
because you
when it
challenge
becomes
yourself though.
easy. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about autocross. Why? Look, first of all, tell people what autocross is, because I don't think y'all might not know what this is, but I was blown away when I realized this is what he was out here doing. What is autocross?
Okay, so autocross is not what people think. People think when they hear autocross, the first thing comes to mind is motorcycle jumps and things like that. That's nowhere near what autocross is. Autocross is actually a timed course that you go through with a car. I gravitated towards it because a bunch of people I knew, they had fast cars, muscle cars, and things like that, and they were excited about the muscle cars. But like what I got from when I thought I wanted to get into that was that all you got to do is throw money at the car, and a bunch of them are going to see this and they're going to have a problem with it. But in order to go faster, until you get to a certain point, in order to go faster, you throw money at the car.
Yes.
100 horsepower car is slow. Put a bigger engine in it, 200 horsepower, more money, more power. 200 is too slow, 300 is too slow. Throw a supercharger or a turbo on it. It's a faster car. It goes faster. Now you're shaving time off of
So your
a
time is
straight
you, so
line
you're making
drive.
better time.
Right.
So
But there's no skill in that.
So let me say this. So basically, so y'all understand what this is. Autocross is not you racing, like it's not a big race where 5 people are on the track at the same time racing.
Right.
It is a race, but it's a individual race. So each person races by them. Each person runs the track by themselves. This
Yeah,
obstacle course.
it's a timed situation.
Right,
So
and then it's
you have to
about
go
beating
through
time.
Right, exactly.
Right.
The best part about autocross is the course is different every time.
Okay, so tell them what you're racing.
I race a MX5, 29 MX5 Miata. Shout out to Windy City Miata Club, my favorite club, best car club on the planet.
Yes.
I got into autocross because a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, was running a 5K race, and right across the street from where the 5K race was, there was these guys in a parking lot with these cars going around in circles from a distance, but it was actually a course. But I looked and I was like, okay, so he's running. Here we go again. I ain't got nothing else to do, so I'm gonna walk over here and see what's going on.
Always the person
Yeah.
that's trying to find something. Okay, so what is your biggest challenge in getting ready to step out into doing this thing that you know is going to be like so different from everybody else? Is there a fear of judgment with doing these things that are outside of the box?
There is a fear of judgment in anything you do in life. Anybody who says that they don't think about what people are gonna say are probably telling a story.
Probably telling a story.
I get that from my mother. The L
You
word
can't
is
say
tough for me. The L word is tough for me.
This is how you know. Not only is he a Renaissance jack of all trades, but he is very respectable.
I try. I
How
try.
cute. If you guys are just tuning in to this is to the tuning in. This is Empowering Moments with Coach T right here on Intellectual Radio. And I am here with USCCA Conceal and Carry Instructor, JC, a.k.a. Base. We have just learned that if you want pretty much to be good at something, you have to really, really put time in. You have to research. You have to be committed. You have to be willing to educate yourself and take it seriously. And then you have to make sure that you surround yourself with people who are already doing those things. These are things that he mentioned before, but I'm just kind of wrapping this up for you guys so you can remember. Find mentors and make them your friends was one of the things that we talked about earlier on. Find the mentors and make them your friends, which is a great segue into my new book. And I forgot to bring it in with me to the studio today. I don't know where
Mm.
my brain is, but make sure, because that's actually a good example of networking. And so make sure you pick up my book, Networkology, Women Building Wealth One Business at a Time. It is an awesome, awesome read that really, really teaches you and shows you how to network to build your business. And I will be putting the information in the link to order your copy today. I will be putting that link into the comment section once we wrap here today. Okay, so now let's get back into taking risk and how we can do these things that we are afraid of in 2022. So before we just touched on the fear of judgment. So I want to just throw this in here for you guys. The fear of judgment will stop you from taking advantage of new opportunities. And no and no one is able to reach their highest potential if you don't take risk. It is a part of life. You cannot escape it. I got to tell you, for the people who don't take risk and you play it safe all the time, you miss out on so much. There's so many things that you could be doing, so many things that you could be experiencing, so many successes that you could be realizing if you would just take the risk. So I'm admonishing you, take the risk. No one is great at everything, right?
That's right.
Some of us are just better at hiding those things that we're not so great at. So then nobody knows that you're not great, right? But what is failure to you and how do you overcome it?
Okay, so failure to me. Uh, Failure to me is going into a situation and not learning anything from it. That's failure. Losing is not failure. Uh, Taking L's, as they say, not failure. It's a learning opportunity. If you don't learn anything from a situation, that's a failure.
Absolutely.
Um, wow, failure. I never really thought
because
that
you
was
don't
something that was.
because you don't think of what you do in terms of when you do things that don't turn out the best, you don't necessarily think of it in terms of it was a failure.
Nah, it's just something else I could talk about in a conversation.
Wow.
I mean,
I
I
mean, because
think,
that's another way to look at things, because I think we are so prone to beating ourselves up when we don't do what we think is expected of us. Because I think failure I think we don't feel failure. Honestly, I don't think we would feel failure if we weren't worried about what somebody else
yeah,
expected. It's meeting the expectation. And when you have an outside expectation that wasn't your own, then you could feel like you failed them, not necessarily yourself, but we internalize it. So we turn it on us.
yeah,
So if they think that we didn't meet the standard, then we failed.
yeah. I think that that's another failure. If you care at the end of the day what somebody else decided was good or bad for you. In life, I think people should focus on being happy, finding passion and pleasure in life. I heard a quote just the other day. I think I posted it on Facebook. The quote was, trying not to mess this up. Uh, you Pleasure is creative thinking, and then watching what you think come to reality through the work of your own hands.
Wow. That's actually profound. That's a word, y'all. Let me tell you.
And it's funny because I live by that. Like I mentioned for a split second, I built that fish tank.
Yes.
I like to do things because it seems like it'll be fun for me.
So how big is this fish tank? Tell everybody about this fish tank that you won a claim on. Let's talk about that. So you were featured in the article.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
yeah. Once I finish the fish tank, I'm in a bunch of different fish groups.
Okay.
Now I only keep monsters. I can talk about monsters all day. I won't.
We not.
But now I only keep like really, really large fish. I don't do like the little
Small
small
fish
fish.
anymore. So
So
you built your own tank. How big is the tank?
the tank is 500 gallons.
Okay, so just so
It's
you
actually
guys,
small, but
okay, but
some
it's big
people.
to everybody else that got a regular old fish tank in their house, just so you know. So this thing takes up like one whole wall in your basement, right?
Not the whole wall,
Kind of, sort of,
but it's
almost.
it's, it's pretty big.
So he
Well,
built this from scratch, you all. Just so I mean, he laid that he talking about epoxy and seals, and I was just like, oh my god, this is way too much.
yeah. So it's about 8 feet long. Well, not about. It's 8 feet long by 4 feet deep by 3 feet high.
And right now, what do you have in it?
I had two stingrays, a clown knife, and two plecos.
What happened to the stingray?
One of them died. My male, from the time that I had him, he didn't really eat much.
Thanos and Bella.
Yeah, Thanos. I'm glad you remember his
So
name.
now you
Um,
still have Bella?
yes,
Okay, so now
and
that means
she's
he has.
actually thriving in the tank now that he's gone. She's grown
Oh wow.
an inch
Okay, so
in the
this is what
last month and
another
a
thing that
half.
he does. He has his own aquarium in the doggone house. Okay, this
Yeah.
is this
I
person.
have to say, I won't be modest about it. It's huge.
And so you were
Uh,
featured where?
this company, who makes they make epoxy, which is basically what I use to line the tank because it's
Right.
actually made out of plywood with a glass front. They
Okay.
make epoxy, and they found me on one of the websites, and they saw my tank, and they were just like, they reached out to me almost instantly. Well, I don't know how instant it was, but they I'm
And then
gonna
they
say
did
it
an
was
article
instant.
on
They
you.
reached out to me and asked me if they could do an article on my fish tank as a success
So it's
story.
published on their website.
It's on their Instagram. The name of the company is Pond Armor. You can
All
find them
right.
on Instagram.
Come on here. Come
It's a
on
big black
here.
tank with four large fish in there. I'm looking for more fish,
I'm not the only
but
one that's published, y'all. Come on.
well, thank you. Yeah,
So let's talk about your conceal and carry classes that you have coming up in January because you got classes. Tell us about it.
right, yeah. So I have a concealed carry class that's running 2 Sundays in a row, the 23rd and the 30th. And I also have an intro to pistols class. I have two intro to pistols class. One is a ladies only class that I'm actually gonna offer
A
some sort of a
giveaway.
situation.
So we're gonna talk about the giveaway, but I want to talk about what these classes entail. So the conceal and carry class is what? Tell us what that module looks like a little bit.
Okay, so the concealed carry class is basically everything that you need to know in order to pass the Illinois standard on being able to carry a concealed weapon. They want you to understand, the law. That's the thing that really irked me about my son's friends. Most of them didn't know the most important piece of the situation, which is, what will get you in trouble, what to do after, a defensive shooting incident. They didn't know any of this stuff. All they in their head, they had this idea that I got a license to shoot somebody if they mess with me.
So this is a 16-hour class that teaches you the law and the law behind being a firearms owner. It's also, but what I love about your class is that it also you teach how to be a responsible firearms owner because I know that's something that has been very important to you for people to know that it's not just for you to just carry around and so you can just shoot somebody.
Right.
There's a responsibility that comes with it and it's more than that.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that. There's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when you carry a firearm. When I first got my concealed carry license, it was such a serious thing for me. It changed the way I moved. I no longer went to places where I felt like it was going to be a problem. I thought to myself, like when I'm getting ready to go out, if I thought to myself specifically, let me remember to put my gun on. If I thought to myself that,
I
I
probably
changed
don't
my
need to
mind
go.
about going.
Absolutely. So it makes you more responsible about how you move and the actions that you take and the behaviors that you engage in because now, and I always say this, to whom much is given, much is required. So now when you take on the responsibility of becoming a firearms owner, now you are held to a different standard of responsibility because the law is going to hold you to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's
And
a
they're
lot
not
of
going to
different
hold
things
up.
that
They're not going to let up on that.
a lot of the stuff. One of the things about the law and concealed carry is a lot of the stuff that would normally be a misdemeanor for you in an incident in the street becomes a felony because
Because
you
you
have
are,
a gun on
oh,
you. You don't
absolutely.
even have to actually use the gun in the situation,
Just the fact
but
that you have
because you
carrying
have
it.
the ability to kill somebody,
Absolutely.
you have
So
this
it turns up the stakes.
it definitely
Yeah.
changes things. You get
Yeah.
into an argument with somebody, you get into a fist fight, of something, and somehow you're the one who's found to be the aggressor, and you're locked up for assault.
Right.
It becomes felony assault because you had a
Because you
firearm.
had a gun,
It's
even
not
if
a
you never pulled it.
misdemeanor
Absolutely.
battery
Okay.
charge.
See, these are the things that we don't know, and I don't know that people teach it in every conceal and carry class
I,
to
I
that degree.
I think I think the thing about it is one of the things that I really focus on is changing the way you think, because you have a firearm. Because a lot of people think that, okay, now I'm protected because I have a firearm. But what I like to instill in people is the fact that you need to consider doing different things because you have, like, okay, say for instance you got 10 rounds in your gun. That's 10 people you can kill when you whip out that gun, and most of
If
them
you
aren't
that
going to
good of
be
a
the
shot.
people. Well, I'm just saying
But I hear you.
accidentally.
Right.
Accidentally you can change the lives of hundreds of people in one situation,
Right.
and people don't take that into consideration. They
Right.
think, okay, somebody messing with me,
I'm just
this is
gonna
a
pull it
big
out.
dude,
This is
I'm a
the
little
perfect. Yeah.
guy, bop bop bop, and it's
Nope.
over and done with. No, each one of those bullets is a situation that
Wow.
goes past where you shoot it.
Absolutely. One of the things that he talks to us about is knowing what's behind your target. Because
Number
that's,
4.
because now if I happen to miss this target of mine and I hit something behind it, what is that something that I'm going to hit? And is it in danger? Am I really, really endangering someone else? And am I making a bigger situation than what it could have been? And so I like the fact that you are really, really aware of that. And I like the fact that you teach that in your courses. So let's talk about, so let's be real quick. Let me make sure that we get everything in. So you have a conceal and carry course, and that is going to be January 23rd and the 30th. Those are 2 Sundays in a row. That's at the end of this month. And then you also have an intro to pistols class that is on Saturday, January the 22nd. You have 2 classes. One runs from 8 to 12. That is a co-ed class. That's men and women. And then from 2 to 6, you have a class that is just for women only. And that is the class that you would like to offer a promo on today.
Yes,
So let's talk
yes.
about the promo.
So I'm already giving a deep discount on the class because I really want people to take that class because it helps you have a better understanding on how to shoot. The concealed carry class there's a little bit of shooting explained in the concealed carry class,
Right.
but it's not an in-depth weapons understanding on how the pistol works, how to hold the pistol, how to shoot the pistol, how to line up your sights, how to load the magazine. All of these are things that we cover briefly in the concealed carry class, but they're covered in depth in the intro to pistols class.
Perfect.
What I'm offering is initially a deep discount because the regular price of the class is $100. The discount is down to $50 at this current point, but I'm going to offer a buy one, get one for your listeners.
So, Intellectual Radio listeners, the women's only class on January 22nd, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Buy one at $50. Bring your girlfriend for free. All right. So, we are at the end of our show. Thank you guys so much for being with us today. Thank you, JC, for being with us today. Really, really quickly. Really quickly. Really quickly. 2 words. What do you think everybody should do? Give some
Words.
advice. Really
Some
quickly.
advice on risk taking.
Yes.
Stay grounded in your situation that you have be stable there. It allows you to take more of a risk in what you're doing when you always have that fallback, if that's a job or anything else. The second thing that I'd like to convey would be, when you want to get into something, do your research first. Like, research it like a business plan, because what I'm into, thousands of dollars go out the window instantaneously. Research it like a business plan. Study it yourself. Get a lot of, as much information as you can on your own. Then seek out mentors. The things that mentors want from you is an understanding that you actually have an interest in, that you know something. They don't want to have to teach you everything.
All right.
And be prepared to spend some money on training if you can't get it for free.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been Empowering Moments with Coach T. Remember, I am the Coach T, and just be you. Thank you for tuning in.